Well, folks, here we are. We're here for another LifterLMS Ask Us Anything call. Should I change it? I don't know if I should change it or not. Let's see. Let's go. Where's the thingies? Where's the thingies? Where's the thingies? I've lost the thingies. Where's our? Oh, here they are. Boom. Now we got a glob. That's a big glob. Let's go to a small glob. There we go. Now we've got the playful. We've got the playful background. My name's Kurt. I am here with Emily Middleton. We'll be here for the next hour or so, just taking questions live. We also have a couple of people that submitted questions ahead of the call. Newsflash, if you get an email from us and it invites you to this call and you register for this call, you get the ability to pre-submit a question. And we really enjoy when people do that, because then when we open the call, we know we've got something to talk about. That all said, it looks like we do have things to talk about. Anyway, I mean, Emily's sitting outside and it's a beautiful, gorgeous day where she's at. It's a beautiful, gorgeous day where I'm at too, but I was too foolish to go set up my laptop out back, so I'm in the office. And it was just amazing. I did go live for Mañana No Mas this morning, Emily. I did StreamYard from my phone in the backyard, and Remy was running around enjoying himself and just having a blast, and it was just a great time. I'm so happy we moved to Kansas and got out of California, and I have the space that I have. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, I love your background. You should
Thank
be
you.
there. You should be there more often. I like the flowers.
Flowers.
Someone else will correct me. They'll say that's not flowers, that's a tree, or that's a bush, or that's whatever. I am not a botanist. I am just a dude looking at a screen. All right. That all said, there's a couple of things I want to start out the call with. One is, if you've come to this call, you are eligible for a 55% off coupon by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. I should also point out that if you go to the LifterLMS website, you're going to see something different for a promotion that I think ends. Does it end today or does it end tomorrow?
I don't know, but it is 60% off, so it's 5% better than what we have usually.
So that part's better. It's a 60% off sale at lifterlms.com. The coupon is SpringSave60, right? So you would use SpringSave60. It says, do you have a coupon? You would say, yes, I do. SpringSave60. And that would be the coupon to get 60% off. Now that says through Thursday, May 8th. So that's going to end today. So I always hold good with you watch this call, you get 55% off, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, right? So that's coming to the call. But if you want to take action today and save an extra 5%, you can do that by using the coupon code SpringSave60. Now, I do want to go one step further. This wouldn't be a coupon sale. This would be like just buy it directly. But if you've been watching us for a while and you're like, I would just want to sign up for lifetime. I am a sucker for a lifetime deal. Emily will tell you that. Most of the software I use, I got because it was a lifetime deal. And so Lifter has a lifetime Infinity Bundle license, meaning you get access to all of our plugins. And you can get that today. I know that seems like late notice. It's a flash sale. You can get that today for $39.99, $3,999. So, and now I sound like the ShamWow dude, so I want to change channels a little bit. It's, when you're passionate about a project, it's kind of hard to not be enthusiastic about, hey, it's on sale or whatever. But I don't want to sound like Grant Cardone either. So, it's a difficult thing to maneuver. The other thing is, when you are working with Emily and myself on this call, what you're going to want to do is put your questions into the chat. Now, in most cases, we're going to address your question and we're going to cover it live on the call. We'll do screen shares. We'll try to make ourselves as clear as possible. But please know that, sometimes I might throw a link or throw a comment into the chat to be a little more fulfilling in the answer. For instance, if someone asked a question about, what can an instructor do, or what does an instructor's assistant do? If Emily's doing the screen share on that, I'm typically going to go find the roles and capabilities link in LifterLMS and slap that into the comment section so that everyone has access to the full documentation as well. All right. That all said, we actually have a couple of folks here. Hey, look, Frithoff is with us again. Frithoff says, LOL. I'm not sure what the LOL part was for it. I don't know where I was.
Probably the Grant Cardone segment of get 60% off, get in the affiliate program, get all your family involved.
Yeah.
Tell them that it's going to ruin your relationship to close that sale. Anything you can do.
Dude, have you ever gotten on Grant Cardone's email list?
No, I have not. You
will never get off of Grant Cardone's email list. I got on it years ago. I bought his book, the 10X book, and no matter what you do, you are glued to his hip for the rest of your life. Kate says, LOL, she's with me there. I'm going to go back up to the top of our stream. I'm going to try and do this. Manuel, please don't be insulted. I want to try this. Manuel Vilhena Saldana. Maybe that was it. I don't know. It says, hi, my website is flagged as staging, but this is the real deal. That'll happen sometimes, like if you were on staging and then you moved it to production, or if there's something in the name of the site that, flags something as staging, or your server, something. Don't panic. You can fix this pretty easy. It says, how can I get rid of this alert? And what's the consequence of having this alert? Couple of things. First, let's go into how to get rid of it, because that's probably your very, very first question. I have a demo site already up. Do you want me to do the screen share on this one, Emily?
Yeah.
So let's do a screen share. I'm going to jump into my demo site. Just confirm, are you seeing the demo site?
I can see it.
Perfect. So here we are. I'm going to go into the back end. This site is not flagged as a staging site, but typically I think down near orders, you're probably seeing a red thing that says staging, and then you probably see a notification across here that's going to say, hey, LifterLMS feels that this site might be a staging website, and your automatic payments are disabled. And so you can click on that message and it'll take you to the automatic payments. But if you've already disabled that notification, you can go to status. So you go to the LifterLMS menu and you select status. And inside that status menu, you're going to see a horizontal menu, and you want to click on tools and utilities. So you click on tools and utilities, and right here, you're going to see reset automatic payment status. Allows you to choose to enable or disable automatic recurring payments, which may be disabled on a staging site. So you would just click reset automatic payment status, and the site would go back to being functional. Now, the other part of your question was, what's the consequence of this alert? And I want to make sure, there we go. What's the consequence of this alert? Think about it this way. If you had a live site and you had a staging site, and they were both live, and one wasn't flagged as staging in LifterLMS, and you had a lot of members and they were all set up on like recurring payment for $45 a month, you would ping everybody in your list for $90 a month. And then you would have a lot of support tickets and all kinds of weird stuff going on, right? Because that automation would still be ticking away. And so that's why when your site is flagged as being in a staging site, it'll disable those automatic payments. Staging is another thing I want to just cover a little bit of for people. Manuel, this answer might not be for you. It would be for anyone else that watches the replay. There are a lot of times where I will tell people, hey, if you want to try a new theme, if you want to, try and make some major update, why don't you do that in a staging site first? Make sure there's no conflicts, make sure everything works, and then duplicate that change or that work in the production site. And I'll say that frequently to people. But the thing to remember is, like with any dynamic website, like, so you have members and orders and automations that are in place on your production site. So if you work in a staging site for 2 weeks and then you say, oh, great, all the design is where I want it to be. I'm going to make the staging site live. When you do that, you are replacing the production site with the staging site, which also means you are erasing, that 2 weeks of transactions and stuff that was happening on your production site. So when I say things on these calls like try the change in staging and then duplicate the work in production, I say that because most of the people that I talk to are intimidated by the idea of like, hey, back up your database and move your database and do this and do that. And so a lot of times, especially if it's just a design change, I'll say, hey, try it in staging. And if it doesn't conflict or cause any problems, then duplicate that work in production. And that might sound like I'm telling everybody to do extra work, but I don't want you to lose data, especially for live students or members that might be interacting on your website. All right. Do you have anything to add to that one?
No, yeah. The only thing it does is disable that recurring billing from occurring on your website. But it also, if you're on a lower tier of Lifter, like a universe bundle, you have like 5 sites to activate. So you could have 5 staging websites and 5 production websites. So one license covers both the staging and the print website.
Yeah.
Just
now I got to raise.
The way it is based on. Go ahead.
I got to raise the roof moment for myself. I'm pretty proud of this one.
Yeah, what's up?
Your pronunciation was on point. It's and it's some people get upset like, oh, that's cultural appropriation or whatever. I really enjoy names and cultures and things from around the world. It's one of my things. When I traveled with Ducati, I would say that was probably that was one of the most challenging jobs I ever had, but it was one of the most rewarding jobs I ever had. They sent me around the globe, and man, I really enjoyed my travels. I had a blast. I would do that again on a heartbeat. Manuel says that his course is a free course with no payment. Whether you have payments or not, if it pulls up like as staging, and sometimes this will happen when someone starts a new LifterLMS install, they'll see, oh, it's in staging, and that would be like during the setup process. Maybe you didn't initiate recurring payments, or maybe you didn't do something like allow manual payments or something, right? Because in your mind you're like, oh, it's just it's going to be free anyway, right? And so you don't check it. But if those things aren't activated, then the software assumes it makes a presumption that you're in staging. So whether your access plans say it's free or not, go ahead and activate that recurring payments thing, that automatic payments, and everything will process the way you want. And then boom, right? Thanks, Kurt. So even if I am not using any kind of payment, the staging alert will still be on for orders. Perfect. Yep, he gets it. All right. Delphine says hello. Hi, Delphine. Perfect. Let's see. We've got, I want to go back up because I'm afraid of losing people. I did that last time and I felt bad. So Gavin got to us, says, when I have used for groups enrollment for an access plan, is there a way to prevent single enrollments from creating an entire group? I have several groups. Okay, so I now have several groups with just one person for this reason. First things first, the answer is yes. It's absolutely yes. You've got a lot of unbelievable control inside your access plans. Is this one you want to jump in and show on screen, Emily? Do you think?
Sure.
Access plan for groups, and then how to make the minimum number 3, the minimum number 5, whatever. So you could have multiple access plans. You can have up to 6 access plans for any product, Gavin. And so let's say I do an access plan for its single enrollment, and I would say, individual enrollment, $100. And I would build the access plan for that. And then I would build a second access plan for groups. And I would say, minimum purchase is 3 or minimum purchase is 5, whatever you think a minimum is for groups in your niche. But you could specify, from 5 to 100 people could be in a group.
Yeah. And so what we can do is, let's see, share screen, allow, window. this one. Share window. So, inside of the plugins interface, I do need to make sure that WooCommerce is disabled.
Oh, yeah.
I am under the weather, so I'm coughing a little bit. And I can't sleep because I'm working too hard. So, let's see. So, with WooCommerce disabled, one thing on the demo sites that always confuses me is that WooCommerce is active. It's not going to let us do this. But within a course or membership, with our groups active, what we can do is head to the access plan section. We'll open it up, and I think when we feed our plan to a paid plan, we have the option for group enrollment. So if we say, sorry, I don't know why I'm dying right now, but we have group
It's those
enrollment.
flowers behind your head. You're probably allergic to them.
You're probably right, actually.
Your screen is gorgeous, but you're allergic to it.
Oh my god. I need to get Zyrtec. Oh fuck. But here we go. So fixed seats. We can do variable seats. Minimum seats is 2. Maximum seats is 10. For 100. I'm gonna go back over there in a minute. We're inside and curl up and die. But yeah, so minimum seats is 2, maximum seats is 100. So if you are an individual, you're gonna get a different access plan. So we would say 2 to 100 employees, and then we would create a second access plan that is one-time payment, and this is going to be for only you. So you have one payment, not used for group enrollment. It's only going to be you enrolling here. But if you have 2 to 100 employees, you'll click on the access plan above. If that makes sense.
And then on the front end, it'll display both access plans and give people a choice.
That's right. So here we go. Save. Complete out. So 2 to 100 employees, $200 a month. Oh my god. Or only you for 1 month of access or 1 year of access. I'm gonna move my setup now. I didn't realize how bad my allergies were. Yeah.
Hey, go get yourself a drink of water. I'll take over for a little bit. And oh, there you go.
There we go.
You're making me feel bad dying on camera like that.
I had no clue that this plant. I've never sat over here. Well, this is blooming.
Gorgeous.
It smells so good though.
I'm having a really good time with this. You can't tell, but I am.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna welcome Sergey Bosch to the call. It says my goal is to provide instructional videos. I'm mostly indifferent to quizzes, etc. How can I protect my videos from being copied and posted elsewhere? Sergey, you hear this nonstop. So I just want to reassure you, you're not crazy. You are not crazy. Tons of people, Sergey, will come to us and say, how do I protect my videos? And then our answer always sounds like we're being smart alecky or we're being mean when we just say, well, you can't. The long and truthful answer would be, a thief is a thief. If a thief wants to copy your content, they're going to figure out a way to do so. There are screen share technologies where they can play the video and record the screen. If it's on YouTube, obviously they could do a download off of YouTube. That said, there are some precautions that you can take to make things more difficult. And so, again, I want to go back to, if someone wants to steal your content, they're going to steal your content. That's why what you're really selling through your website is you, right? You're selling your twist on it, your presentation, your whatever, and it's you, the relationship with you. I try to share that with as many people as possible. But like what are you actually sharing? What are you selling on your website? And you're selling access to you. So if someone were to steal your content, it would be painfully obvious that they stole your content. and it wouldn't be much use to them. But that all said, your question is, how can I protect my videos? There are tools out there. Like, for instance, if you are, let's say you host your videos in Vimeo, and I should say up front, you should not be hosting your videos inside your WordPress website. Your video should be hosted elsewhere. So your video should be hosted on YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia, Bunny.net. I use a company called Adillo. There's a ton of video hosting sources out there, but you're going to want to host your video somewhere else and then embed it to your learning management system. And so certain embed products are going to have different security packages. So, for instance, Vimeo has a very robust, like, you can only show videos on these URLs. You can't right click, you can't download, you can't, like, it has security settings. Again, somebody could play your video and use a screen capture tool to record the video, but they're not really downloading your original video or anything like that. One of the things I've seen Emily talk about in the past is simply, putting a watermark on the video, right? So if they actually copy the video, they would have to edit the video to get rid of the watermark, right? If that makes sense, like crop it, trim it, whatever. So you can watermark your videos. There's also a product out there called Video Cipher. Video Cipher has a couple of other security measures that they put into videos. For instance, like if someone were to try and right click and download the video, it would put their email address across the window, things like that. So those are things that you might consider looking at. At the end of the day, I go back to being simple. And sometimes it's not the answer people want to hear, but be yourself, be the best that you can be, make content that rocks, attract people to you. And make it so people would really feel foolish if they stole your content because they're not you. Emily, how do you feel about what I said?
I agree. Really opens up my airways to hear your answer. Yeah, I think my primary video host is Bunny.net, and you could use that with like Presto Player, and they have the CDN thing where you can like add URLs that the videos can be played on. But I do think that for some businesses, it's worth the security investment to get $30-$50 a month for a video host that's going to give you those advanced security features. But for some businesses, it's just not worth it. If people are going to steal your content, make it free marketing for you. So either way.
Yeah, every now and then, like when I'm doing a live, like we do these lives here on StreamYard, when I'm doing a live for myself from Mañana No Mas, periodically I'll run a banner at the bottom, or I'll run something across the bottom of the screen that has my URL in it or something like that. And that's just another way that, like, even if someone took the video and spread it around, it'd actually be marketing for me, right? So there's ways to really put your fingerprint on your content. I want to encourage people, though, don't be spammy and crazy. That's a weird way to say it, right? But don't be spammy and crazy about it. If you are overly paranoid that you are the only person with a really great idea, you're going to back yourself into a corner of making weird decisions. So it really is great to share and be open and package your stuff well and be willing to work with other people. And in the end, I think you'll find that you have a much more enjoyable experience online. The wisteria is gorgeous.
Thank you. It's going to kill me one day.
Yeah, but it tried to kill you.
True.
Now, that pink thing over your left shoulder, is that a rose bush?
I don't know. I feel like I'm afraid to go near it, but
because that's pretty too.
Yeah. No, this yard has a lot of pretty and deadly things in it. But one thing I did want to share that was pretty cool. This is off course, so let us know. Kate says it looks like a peony. That sounds right. Stop and smell the roses.
Sounds right. That sounds like you know.
But this is cool. This is a total interjection. But one thing I built this week was it's like instructors can come to this page and choose their quizzes from a drop down and enter a date, and then students can only complete quizzes during this period. So like, if I go to my course builder, it tells them how many days they have left to complete the quiz, and if the date is passed, like if it's 2023 as the expiration date, it will say it's no longer available, but they won't be able to take the course anymore, but they can still view their quiz attempts. So that's kind of cool.
That sounds like a plugin you could sell to schools.
This is for school, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that is perfect. You could sell that to a school in a heartbeat. You get that question a lot, right? How do I have more control over quiz accesses to quizzes and content and things like that? So let's jump over to Kate. Now I'm going to call Kate out. Kate later said, is there any way to disable the background music? Kate, it's my fault. Emily usually picks this one called Night Driving, and I picked a different one, and apparently it's driving you crazy. So I turned the volume down a little bit for you. But we'll probably turn it back up after I'm done taking care of your answer. So let's see. There was Kate. She said that. And then here's the question. Update to my questions above. And I apologize because I didn't see a question above. I saw an LOL. So maybe you put in a question before I launched the live. I don't know. But it says, update to my question above. What are the options for using LifterLMS? I know we can add it to our existing website. Presumably we add it to a separate news site that doesn't hold anything else. Asking for a friend. If your friend is a client that I spoke to yesterday, then that would be really ironic. I had the same exact situation come up with a client yesterday on a Zoom call. It says, is there an option for LifterLMS to host our LMS and for Lifter to host our LMS? So let's cover a couple of things. You've asked a couple of questions there that a lot of people ask. So the same thing that I said earlier to a viewer is what I'll say to you. Don't feel stupid. This is a really great question. It comes up frequently. First things first, we don't host people's LMSs for them. We are a plugin provider. And so if you have a WordPress website and you want to add a learning management system to a WordPress website, we sell the platform to you. You put it on your site, you build it. It's a DIY thing, right? Do it yourself. The cool thing about LifterLMS, that's a little bit different from other plugin companies, and I'm not going to say all plugin companies, but most plugin companies, is we have a vetted list of experts. So if you're like, hey, I'm a school, I just want to hire someone to build us a learning website. I don't want to be a webmaster. I just want to run my business. And you want someone else to build it for you or host it for you, jump into that list of experts that is on lifterlms.com/experts and choose somebody from that list. I'm on the list. Emily's on the list. Dale Berkebile is on the list. Chris Lassiter is on the list. Codable is on the list. There's a bunch of people on the list. WP Tonic is on the list. There's a ton of people on the list that are, again, vetted professionals that are really well versed in how Lifter works and how it interacts. Now, the other part of your question was, can you add it to an existing site or do you need a separate site? That depends on absolute preference. The customer that I had yesterday was in the middle of developing a website on WordPress.com with LifterLMS, and they were trying to activate a couple of other things with it. And some things with WordPress.com, you have to have an upgraded or a leveled up membership for. And so, but then she also had two other functioning websites. And the name, the URL of the original website was actually much better for her than the one we were building. And so it just kind of came up in conversation. And she said, well, wait a minute, why couldn't I combine all three of these websites together? Because there's actually three sites. And I said, well, you could. Like, I assume if you broke it into pieces, you broke it into pieces for a reason, but you don't have to break your stuff into pieces. You can put everything together. different people have different thoughts about this. So I want to be very, very clear. I'll share my thoughts. I used to be a person that had a marketing website, and I kept my academy or my learning website as a subdomain. I kept it separate. And then I would do all kinds of like blogs and pages and forums and marketing stuff in my main website. And then I would just host my courses and membership in my LMS. That became a little bit much to manage for me, especially like looks and design and having everything be cohesive. And there's different tools to like blend sites together, even if they're just subdomains that I was juggling. And I thought to myself, I think it'd be easier just to put everything in one domain. So I did, and I haven't turned back since. Like I'll tell you, Kate, ever since I started putting everything in one site, I've been much happier. I tend to run my LifterLMS web builds with LifterLMS, a CRM tool, a form tool, sometimes a booking tool. If it's for a coach or an author, I'll have a booking tool so they can book consultations and things like that. And I'll put all of that into one website. And it works really well as long as your hosting is robust. So, because remember, everything that you add to your website just becomes, more stuff. And if you have a lot of users, if you're successful and you bring in a lot of users or members, you're going to have bandwidth requirements and you're going to want stronger hosting. There's absolutely no reason in my book not to blend those together. And then Emily will probably tell you why you would break it into pieces.
Yeah. Why would I'm for my personal stuff, I'm combining everything nowadays. I'm recommending that a lot of the businesses I work with combine it and simply pay more in hosting. A lot of the businesses I work with care about SEO, and they have some free content for their LMS. So the LMS does marketing for the business, and so we want all that content to be free, and all the SEO juice that comes to your website from your sales pages and from your courses, we want to combine it into one authority website. But if you have a website that is separated, that is not supposed to be viewed by the public in any way, this could be like if you're selling a product and you're selling training on that product, or you include training with the product. If for some reason you don't want the traffic from the LMS to increase your website authority in any way or contribute to SEO in any way, you might have a valid reason to separate it. If you do, subdomains are fine. Separate websites are fine. Separate hosting is even fine. If I know, like Tangible XP hosting, I'm really happy with. I set up a client on them, and they build add-ons for LifterLMS, so they're very aware of LifterLMS. But like WP Tonic also is aware of LifterLMS. But having a LifterLMS aware host is a good thing to be thinking about. But yeah, I would have it separate for the purposes of admin management, resource management, and specifically in a case where you do not care about website authority and the value for SEO and traffic wise that the LMS is going to bring to your business. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I've done a couple of enterprise level LMSs where the company, even if they used WordPress, was like, we want to make sure that our internal training has no connection whatsoever to our main site. We don't want customers to be able to search or find anything, right? And then in that case, we've done a subdomain. But in most course builder frameworks, I'm all about throwing it all together nowadays.
Yeah, same.
Kate says this is now the gardening Ask Me Anything call. So speaking of gardening, and maybe I should pull up pictures of my backyard. We bought a house last September, and so everything was dead, right? But our backyard, every straight line in our backyard, like we have multiple like walls, and we have a half acre, so everything had like these brick walls and like planter areas, right? But like we didn't know what was in there because everything was dead, and so we assumed it was weeds or whatever. The next door neighbor told us that 2 owners ago, the lady was like this crazy botanist in the neighborhood that did like flower exchanges with people, because there's certain flowers that if you plant them next to each other, they start to be all the same color. And so she would exchange flowers with different ladies in the neighborhood. So apparently my house used to be like the botanical garden of the neighborhood. And my wife says, I don't want to deal with any of that. Rip it all up. We'll just let the grass take over. So we didn't do that. I procrastinated on that one because I wanted to see what would happen. And Emily, maybe I'll take you on a video tour, after the call or maybe tomorrow. We have all kinds of stuff popping up, different colored tulips and irises, and it's like all over the yard. There's just stuff popping up all over the place, and it's really cool because we didn't do it. So it's neat to see it, right? It's like always a surprise. Art had some good advice coming up on that video question. And so this is for Sergey. Sergey, if Art says you can put a privacy notice on the Courser website. And so I would probably make that part of the terms and conditions page. And as hopefully maybe you don't know, there's an option in the LifterLMS settings where you could force people to agree to the terms and conditions when they sign up, right? Like check this box if you agree to the terms and conditions. And so they can check that box, right? And then you could add a piracy notice in the terms and conditions. And then I don't know how valuable your content is, but like Art here says, if you had to go to court, they look favorable upon the judgment because you actually had it in writing that, an anti-piracy thing in the way. So that might be something that works for you. That might be something that might be another level of the answer. All right. Let's see. Kate says, we will not want the LMS to be crawlable or even discoverable if possible. And so, yeah, if that's your real goal, just so you know, Kate, 90% of the people that we deal with have the opposite goal, right? They're course creators that want to sell their courses. And so they want to be discovered. They want search engine optimization. They want all those things. So yeah, if you don't want it to be crawlable or discoverable, then I would recommend a new WordPress installation. And when you're installing WordPress, you have the option to hide it from search engines. And so you could do that, and you could disable search and then build a more private location for yourself if that's something that you want to do. I'm not sure what the oh no means, unless we were bragging about making sites searchable before I answered that question. Scattergay says, great, thanks. So Art, that goes to you. Thanks to you, Art. And then it says, we're a franchise system for onboarding new franchise owners only. Oh, Kate, that comes with a mix of a message. I actually sold an enterprise training product attached to an existing website based on the idea that the LMS, although not accessible to people that haven't bought yet, would be like a marketing source to sell the franchise. So it was another example of a franchise, right? And so what they sold a consumer product. A consumer product legally is anything you sell more than $15 that would require some kind of warranty or post-sales service. Okay, so we had a bunch of training for their products that we had made, right? So that product training would only be for internal technicians, franchise owners, and things like that. Okay, but they used the idea that they had e-learning and 24/7 self-discovery training available to potential franchises, and that increased their franchise sales. Because a lot of franchises, when they sell the franchise, they say, oh, you have to come to our location for 2 weeks to learn how to make hamburgers, or you have to come to our location for 10 days to do whatever. And so when this company said, we're no longer forcing people to travel and do the live workshop, you're able to do things virtually, you're able to test and score and basically certify yourself as a potential franchise owner, that increased their franchise sales because it reduced the expenses and time to market for potential franchises. So that's the thing. It's like no matter how you present something, there's always something on the other side to counter, right? So I tend to be someone that's into more of like the open market kind of ideas. And then there's people on the other side of the table that are more on the closed market ideas. And usually somewhere in the middle is something that works really, really well and helps with sales. At the end of the day, for me, it's all about revenue. So what can I do to reduce friction and increase revenue for my clients? And then that helps me decide how to build what they want to have built. She says, definitely. We have one course that is available by guest password for the franchise discovery. Perfect. And then we showcase all the interactive features in our courses and discovery course. Perfect. Yeah. And then maybe the subdomain thing is the right answer for you to keep the rest of the content, unsearchable, uncrawlable, unlinkable, not on search engines, all that kind of stuff. Just a related but separate site. All right. Emily, am I missing anything in here? Because I've got a giant one I put at the very top of the comments that I took from our spreadsheet, but I didn't want to even read it or dive into it until I knew that we took care of people live.
Yeah. I think we are.
Cabasso University says, "Hey, what's all this about?" I'm just guessing that maybe they were in Canada. What's all this about?
I think it would be ABOOT though.
No, in Canada,
I'm just kidding.
They say about as a boot.
I know.
That's since I had a Canadian driver's license for a while, I had to practice that. So when I would get pulled over, I'd say, "Hey, officer, what's all this about?"
Yeah. And you, do you still have a Canadian driver's license?
No. I'm a normal person now.
I mean, that's good. I mean, that sounds like a wild time.
Kate says we do not say a boot. You might think you don't say a boot, but you do say a boot. What's all this about? Great. Now Kate hates me. Art says we're a franchise too, having to build out in multi-site with franchisees being instructors, with employees being students. Each franchisee has a different logo brand, thus multi-site with subdomains. Art, you sound like you're in deep. I've seen the multi-site thing, and then that multi-tenancy idea really took hold for a lot of folks too. Multi-tenancy and multi-site, they seem almost the same, but they're different. Multi-tenancy is where you have like a blueprint website that all the other sites are made off of, and each website is independent, and right, but all done on the same server. So there's certain controls that you can adjust through the multi-tenancy arrangement. Whereas multi-site, I think, gives you more control over, because like in the main site, the super admin site, you can actually aggregate like all the users and all the administrators and manage the whole thing. And then each site is its own. So yeah, a bunch of different ways to leverage LifterLMS in that way. Congrats, man. That's a big deal. A lot of people try to do that when they're making like curriculum for schools and they're going to have multiple schools using it. They might say, "Oh, I'm going to do a multi-site," so each school gets their own, site, but they're all based off of the plugins and content of the super admin site. So all kinds of ways to talk about that. I'm going to jump up to the top with this pre-submitted question, and it's a giant one. It's going to take 2 screens to do it. It says, "We are small but mighty franchise system team." Well, they're also humble. I have a bunch of probably somewhat dumb questions. Okay, not okay, very humble. Okay, but heck, you don't know unless you ask. Correct. Everyone should ask. We will not be selling courses. Instead, we have franchises across Canada who are. Hey, Kate, is this you? I think that we are looking to private port. Yeah, this is Kate. Pre-submitted before the call. Yeah. So what plan do you recommend? Our current LMS, I rarely require support, but that SaaS company built and maintained an LMS site. All right. I am part of another show called the Membership Machine Show, where we talk a lot about memberships and e-learning projects. And we talk a lot about the differences between WordPress and SaaS. Kajabi, Podia. In fact, I just helped somebody build a Learn Upon website, right? So you might be thinking, "Oh, he only does Lifter." Nope, I do all kinds of e-learning stuff. So I just did a Learn Upon website. What I experience with these SaaS products compared to a WordPress product is, a lot of people are going to point to, well, WordPress is open source, like my t-shirt, right? So success is open source. So open source and ownership. So what's really cool about WordPress is I can build whatever I want in WordPress. And then if for some reason the hosting isn't meeting my requirements, I can move it anywhere I want. So if I'm on Cloudways and I'd rather be on WP Engine, or I'd rather be on 20i, or I'd rather call that nice guy Kurt and host my site with Manana no Mas, I can do all of that, right? Like I have the freedom to own it and move it wherever I want to go. With open source, you are free to modify, change, customize, do whatever you want with the software. You actually have access to the code. Whereas like if you're in Podia, Kajabi, Squarespace, these other SaaS type platforms, you don't have as much freedom for design and development. So WordPress to me wins in that category. And some people will say, oh, but it's easier to use a SaaS because they manage it, they do the updates. I just have to manage my content. But what I run into with that SaaS application, kind of like what I'm dealing with this Learn Upon experiment right now, is we set everybody up. Once we started putting students in, we were like, okay, so how does this person get a notification about this submitted assignment? And then Learn Upon is like, oh, no one ever asked us that before. It usually goes here, but it usually goes there, but you want it to go this, this, and this. And it's like, well, yeah, that's what we want. And then Learn Upon's like, doesn't do it. Right. Whereas if you build something in WordPress, if the answer is, well, it doesn't do it, guess what? You can hire somebody off the experts page and make it do it. And you own it. Like you could move it to another host, another server, another whatever. And so there's some advantages between WordPress and SaaS platforms just in that view, right? So it's cool that you barely ever require support. It's great. I will tell you that LifterLMS is known for support. So if you have a paid bundle with us, you get access to priority support, where you actually like fill out a support ticket and you copy and paste in your system status report. And our team is able to look at that, help you troubleshoot, and get you in the right direction, right, for answers. If you're not a paying bundle user, I don't want you to think that you're not going to get any help. For instance, we have this call, right? So we do this call every week. We have an active Facebook page. For people on the Universe and Infinity bundles, we do a mastermind call every Thursday, an hour after this one ends. And that's cool because it's a Zoom call and people from all over the globe sign in and talk about, it could be marketing, it could be editing, it could be design, it could be whatever. But we have really good discussions in there as a group of professionals that, takes it to another level. So I'm going to go to the next part of the question and make sure I'm not missing anything on you. And again, I'm assuming this is Kate. People to be working on WordPress at the same time. What are the potential pitfalls, right? So approximately how long does it take one of you to set up a membership portal from scratch? That's not a fair question, Kate. And so I've been working in WordPress since 2004. And it was like 2 years ago, Emily and I were like, hey, let's see, you can set up a LifterLMS website the fastest, and it's literally like 5 minutes. It's not, I can do now in a matter of 3 or 4 hours what would take one of my clients a week to figure out. And that is, it's not bragging, it's just time and service, right? It's like asking a mechanic, how long would it take you to put a heater core in an E350 van? And that mechanic would say, oh, I've done plenty of those. I can do that in about 18 minutes. And he knows it's 18 minutes because he's done it 100 times. I put a heater core in my van yesterday and it took me all stinking afternoon. And I cut the back of my hand up like crazy. So, it's just the difference between time and service and confidence and knowing where the buttons are. So someone like myself or Emily, we could set that up, in a day for the framework. And then, of course, it's your content and what you really want to do with your content that adds to the time of the project. Do I have to stick to the Elementor theme for the LMS if that's what we use on the rest of our existing site? Emily, did you see what Web Dev Studios put out last week?
No, I did not.
So Web Dev Studios actually released a tool called the Theme Switcher last week. And they actually did a live show with Chris, who is the owner of LifterLMS. And it is super interesting. This answers what a lot of my clients have been asking for forever and ever and ever. And you can select different themes for different parts or even pages of your website if you use that tool. You didn't used to be able to do that. You used to say, okay, if I have a pre-existing site that's on Elementor, then and by the Elementor theme, I want to be specific, right? So one theme per site. It's always been like one theme per site. So we have people that have said, oh, well, I use Cadence for my website, but I really like the way the LMS looks in SkyPilot. And we've had people say that, and then I'm like, well, then it looks like you're building on a subdomain. But now that there is this tool by Web Dev Studios that came out called Theme Switcher, you are able to have multiple themes within a single website. I am going to go on the record and say I have not used it personally myself yet. And there's a little piece of me that is fearful that when you give people too many options, things get muddy and stupid really quick. So my fear is that people will go nuts with a tool like that, and because different themes have different functions sometimes, and so I'm a little worried that someone will try and build some kind of Frankenstein of a website with a combination of highly functioned themes and plugins that'll cause conflicts. But you know what? That's not for me to worry about today.
Yes. Radioactive energy is now also available to power your WordPress website. I think that that's really interesting. I'm really curious how this works. I'd like to try it out. It sounds like you said like really dangerous. Like what if I were to like load a Divi template within a piece of another website? Like if I have an LMS and the LifterLMS PHP template tries to display through multiple themes, how does that work? I think some plugins like Lifter or LearnDash or other LMSs probably try to combine visual and functionality. So I'm really curious how this works. But since they're doing podcasts with Lifter, I'm sure it works. And so that sounds a pretty cool way to build a block theme from your current site.
Yeah. What I found really interesting in the demo that I saw was they specifically used SkyPilot, and I want to say like Cadence and Astra or something like that, right? Or
yeah,
Web Dev Studios has a different theme as part of their house, I believe, right? Web Dev Studios is a big agency. For those that don't know, they're just a really big agency, and great people run it. I mean, really great people run it. I've met them at WordCamps, and I was even on a podcast once with them from a WordCamp. So great people. So I don't want to talk negatively about their product or say anything weird. When I say anything weird like that, it's not them, it's the clients. Let's just be honest. Some people get super, super creative when they're building something. And as much as I beg them to just market and sell the course, they're always trying to build the next cool, shiny thing on their website. And that to me is one of the biggest dangers of working on the internet. We've had lots of talks on this episode before, not this episode, but this segment that we do, where like, hey, just focus on a minimal viable product, get your course done and get some people using it. Even if you got to give away 10 seats for free to get people in it, get some energy in it, get it working, and then get that momentum and start making your sales and build your revenue, right? Like that's been our message for a long time, because a lot of people get distracted with the art of making something rather than the art of selling something. And unfortunately, if the sales don't come, the product dies on the vine. If it's an internal course and the company's paying for it, well, then the company's paying for it. But, it's different if you're trying to sell stuff. So it was a Canadian thing. It was the Canadian thing that gave it away, right? I don't even know what gave it away. I think I just went crazy. I think because I talked to so many people from Canada, I may have made an assumption. We get a lot of people from Canada. That's where help me. Delphine's from Canada, and Gary is from Canada. And Gary's usually here every week too. And then I've Mrs. C is from Canada. Miss C.
Yeah.
She's from Canada. So I love that you're going to plan on using SkyPilot for your LMS. SkyPilot came out 2.5 years ago, Emily. Am I right? 2.5, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like just yesterday, right? But it's been out for a bit. and it is a fresh looking theme. Like, it just looks good. Like, it's on our demo sites. It's something about the fonts and just the way that things sit on the page. Like, I recognize a SkyPilot site whenever I see it, and I really I just think it's great. The full site editing is something that a lot of people are shy about. It's something that Emily and I just both jumped in with both feet as soon as it came out, trying to figure out, okay, well, how does full site editing work? And that's good and bad, because I think both of us still click in places where things used to be, 2 years ago, that aren't there anymore. Like, they've moved where templates are and template parts and patterns, and so things have changed titles and things have moved around a little bit in the infrastructure. But overall, I think that full site editing, it's going to gain popularity and more people will use it. So either my internet's bad or Emily's is, because she is frozen on my screen and my screen is still going and my internet says it's still on. So I'm going to assume I'm the one that's live. Yep, Emily's gone. So Frithoff says he's in California. I too was in California. I left California in 2023, got to Kansas in 2023. Frithoff, everyone's got a different situation, but I'll tell you, I don't have a single regret. I reduced my overhead by over 60% in the move, and we were able to really rebound our agency and start growing. In fact, we've grown enough that I'm doing like talks at the high school and the college and working with the city on a new apprenticeship program. So looking very much forward to seeing what's in store for us after the move. Okay, so one more thing to cover, and we've got a minute left. So I want to make sure I say it again, at the risk of being someone that is repetitive. Today's the last day for the 60% off. So if you go to LifterLMS.com and there's something that you've been wanting to purchase and you haven't purchased it, now's the time to do it, because you get 60% off. And if you wanted to take advantage of a lifetime deal, it is now $39.99. Okay. If today's not your day and you're like, oh, I just don't want to make a commitment today or whatever, just know that you still get 55% off for coming to the show anyway. LifterLMS.com/AMA-gift, LifterLMS.com/AMA-gift. Emily, welcome back.
Thank you. My roommate takes down the internet with her experiments.
I wanted to make the TV go faster. So is that a midnight Pacific time thing? Kate, let me be specific. I don't know. I haven't got a clue when the time runs out on the LifterLMS website based on the actual time. I will tell you this: if it's midnight in your part of Canada and you go to make a purchase and it doesn't go through, just send a message to help@lifterlms.com and we do the right thing.
I can. It's also it's done manually like the next day, so you have like 6 hours before Chris wakes up to do it.
So it just depends on when Chris wakes up. He's been running like 20 miles a day, so he might be getting up way early. I don't know.
I mean, it's like I don't think they're on an automatic schedule. Sometimes they are, but like I think usually we're okay with people coming in after the sale a couple days. So if you're like probably less than a week out, you can usually email and ask.
Yeah, help@lifterlms.com. So we're all about doing the right thing. It's not about freaking people out. And so, yeah, have a successful meeting with Emily. That's huge. So with that, I think we're going to close out this episode of the Ask Me Anything call. Magic Emily Middleton, you are WPCourseGuide.com, right?
Yes.
WPCourseGuide.com. Mine is manananomas.com, And with that, folks, we'll see you next week. Have yourself up. There was no outro video. I got to set the outro video. And now I can push.